Hello and welcome to IGPP Expert Talks. I'm Hina Goswami, editorial consultant with IGPP, Institute for Governance, Policies and Politics, New Delhi. Today, as the budget 2025 gets released, to discuss the exciting announcements and know how it would impact the economy, we are joined by a prominent personality, Mr. Gopal Krishna Agrawal. Mr. Gopal Krishna Agrawal ji is the national spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party for Economic Affairs. He is a fellow member of the Institute for Chartered Accountants of India. He is an economist and writes extensively for newspaper and financial journals. He is also a trustee and a treasurer of the India Policy Foundation and Dr. Mukherjee Smriti Nyas. Welcome to IGPP Expert Talk, sir.
Thank you very much, Hinaji. I would like to wish your audience a very happy this current year.
Thank you so much, sir. So the budget had just got released today. What are your initial thoughts on it?
Actually, we should look into the budget as at a 360-degree angle. It's a very wide budget, and you cannot look only on the issue of taxation alone. Because yesterday, when the Prime Minister in his opening remark at the Parliament session said that this budget current year will be for the common man and will lay the foundation for the Viksit Bharat that we all are targeting in 2047. So it's a very visionary budget. It very clearly outlines three important aspects from this budget. Apart from the benefit that the middle class on the direct tax area that they are getting, that up to 12 lakh, they don't have to pay any tax annually. And if you are a salaried income person, then you get an exemption of nil income till 12 lakh 75,000 crores. So middle class gets a huge benefit out of this budget. But apart from that, taxation, simplification, and other issue, the important is that the focus of this budget has four important pillars. That is, in every schemes or every announcement or any part of provision of this budget, you will find that it caters to four category of individual. That is farmers, women, youth, and the poor sections of the society. So if you analyze every provision, if you go into detail, you will find that these four sections of the society get a huge benefit out of it. The second important is that budget is also about growth in the economy. There has to be catalyzing some areas which will become engine of growth. Because if you cannot just look into benefit of certain sections of the society, these four sections, unless you create economy, growth, resources, etc., and catalyze certain areas of as a growth engine. So this budget also identifies four growth engines which will propel our economy to a making it an economic power, superpower, and create Viksit Bharat for the target that we all want to achieve. They are engines of growth. Very important engines of growth are the following four important engines are there. Agriculture, which is the mainframe of our economy. Agriculture sector. Second is the biggest contributor to the economic of the country is MSME sector. So MSME is second growth engine which is being supported in this budget. And the third is all this will require investment, and investment into three areas. You see the vision of this budget that it is talking about investment into three areas: people, then economy, and then innovation. So, and the fourth engine of growth is export. So export, innovation, export, investment, MSME, and agriculture. These four engines have been identified as growth engine for the economy, and six domain areas have been identified which will specifically require reforms where the government is focusing on reforms. They are taxation, huge reform, because economy cannot progress unless there are reforms in the economic sector. Challenges, how the government is meeting them. So 6 domain areas have been identified for reforms. They are taxation, urban development, ease of living is very important. Urban infrastructure is very important. Tier 2 cities are very important. So taxation, in addition to taxation, it is urban development and regulatory reform. Yesterday, economic survey also pointed out that we need a strong movement ahead on the regulatory reform side, moving from looking into everybody as punishable and not then prove himself innocent. Instead, the government want to change from everybody, considering everybody as innocent unless proved guilty. So that's an important aspect. So repeal of laws, redundant laws, amendment to laws, simplification of processes, simplification of governance, etc. come under regulatory reforms. Then the fourth area is financial sector reform, because every sector will require, everything will require financing from the government, from the banking sector, financial institutions. And two more areas are power. Unless power, we have strongly availability of power, and we have a very good mining resources. So 6 specific reforms areas have been identified as a domain where government will focus for reforms. They are taxation, urban development, regulatory reforms, financial sector, power, and mining. So if you look into the overall picture of the budget, which is very important, is budget focuses on four segments of the society: women, youth, then farmers, and then the farmers and poor sections. And it also identifies engines of growth and also identifies 6 domain areas where reforms will take place. And surely with the combination of these two, from energy available to financial reforms to regulatory reforms to taxation reforms, Indian economy is poised to grow at a very fast pace. And this budget is laying the foundation for the growth of the economy.
So let's come to the first focus of reform, that is taxation sector. And this announcement has young professionals and middle class very excited that according to the new income slabs, people who earn up to 12 lakhs will be exempted from income tax. How do you view this bold move?
This is a very important, because you see in the last 4 or 5 years, almost 25 crore people have been pulled out of poverty. They form the neo middle class. In India's neo middle class is growing at a very fast pace. And there is even in the middle class also, there are two segments. One is upper middle class and one is neo middle class, lower middle class. So giving exemption of tax, nil taxation for middle class whose income is less than 12,75,000 from salary and other sources, in itself shows that there is a focus area for those who are converting from the poverty line to middle class. They are not taxed. They get the benefit of the growth in the economy, and therefore there is nil taxation. Above income of 12,75,000, then the taxation, direct taxation, individual taxation is attracted, but that there also slabs have been reduced, slab rate have been reduced, and there is a relaxation on the taxation. But particularly our policy is put the money where it is most required, where it will give a multiplier effect, and the total tax revenue that is foregone from this effort is only 1,10,000 crore. It's a huge amount considering it will be available for the middle class for meeting their daily needs, their consumption needs, etc. It will propel the economy automatically it will create demand in economy, industry will benefit out of it, the indirect benefit is also there. So it's an innovative way of supporting a segment which is most in need of support, that this budget provides through this exemption limit and reduction in the tax slabs. And Prof. FMS clearly mentioned that within a week time we'll come out with a new tax law which will be very simplified. Almost half the number of provisions will go away from the current which makes the taxation area very complex and quite compliance wise very difficult. So that will also be reduced a lot.
So the government of India is also putting the money where its mouth is, and it has announced about 10,000 crore rupees for startup funds. How important do you think this move is for our economy?
Startup have created a good value for the country and for their own companies also. And India at present is having more than 100 more unicorns. And it is almost, I think, the second or third country in the world with the number of unicorns. That is, those startups which are having their value more than 1 billion dollars. So that's a huge amount, almost 6,000 crores valuation that each company is having. And India, in a short span, has created such a good ecosystem that is in finance, fintech area, then in space technology also, and even social welfare, digital public infrastructure that India is creating is exemplary. It is providing a global outreach for that. So in this, the government has set up another innovation fund for that, almost 500 crores of innovation fund that the government has proposed. And as you mentioned that for the startup also, support of startup, 10,000 crores additional budget has been allocated. Then 5 IITs are being supported for this, and for specifically AI technology also this 500 crores fund has been allocated. I think government focus on skilling, and as I said that the focus of the government is on investment into in innovation and skilling of the people. So their skilling, there's social security, all these aspects are taken care of in this budget. There the centers of excellence are being developed, skilling is there, and government is providing fund for the new education policy which will be implemented. In the last budget, government announced about 1 lakh scholarship for internship with the corporate sector. And ultimately, if the economy grows, MSME grows, agriculture sector grows, all these are said to be labor intensive industries where new employment will be generated. So the education and health is a priority. On the health side, better life, to provide better life to the citizen. Also, several provisions have been made. Almost 36 life-saving drugs have been exempted from duty, and on other cancer drugs, etc., there is low duty, custom duty of only 5% is being levied. So health tourism finds another important area of support from the government. Even on the tourism sector, skilling for the creation of seeing the potential of employment generation, skilling in the tourism sector, and support to the tourism sector by identifying almost 50 centers which can attract tourists from across the globe have been identified. So it is not that when I talk about that certain provisions are there for one industry, it will almost all inherent in it that it will help in employment generation. It will help the poor section. It will help the women entrepreneurs. That is important thing. The government set up that the what is the clear vision for the government for to Viksit Bharat. That vision is also clarified in this budget when it says that we want 100% skilled labor. We want 70% of women participation in the economic activity. So human capital, people, their health, their education, their social security, their skilling, their ease of living, their taxation, all aspects are taken care. And I think by 2047, our most of the young people today will in the age group of working population, and they will benefit from most from the, and they will ultimately reap the benefit of the economic growth of the country, and they will live to see the Viksit Bharat outcomes in their life.
So, as you mentioned, one very exciting announcement that has been made is that rupees 500 crore have been allocated for Center of Excellence in AI for Education. But do you believe that this amount would be sufficient for the overall development of the AI sector?
This is a seed capital. It's a good amount, specifically for research and development in AI. But in addition, the government is supporting the IITs. Then other center already in the last budget, government had identified several center for excellence, other universities. Then government is also working on the creation of connect between the academy and the industry. So the budget this year is in continuation to what had been announced in the earlier budget also. They are not stopped and new announcement has come again, and this earlier budget allocation, etc., will not be there. But these are in addition to what government has separately announced in earlier budget. So I think this is sufficient. It's a seed capital, and ultimately FMS categorically said that these are demand-based provisions. If there is higher demand, it is nothing that we will not go for revised estimate, etc. And we should also see that the fiscal deficit is also taken care of. Macroeconomic parameters, which are very important for the economy, have also been taken care of. So I think to start with, particularly for AI, this fund is sufficiently good in addition to other benefit and provisions that have been announced by the government.
To encourage and to support the corporate sector, which is one of the focuses of this budget, the government has also brought in the Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0, which aims to decriminalize over 100 provisions. How do you think this will impact the corporate sector compared to earlier Jan Vishwas Bill?
Earlier Jan Vishwas bill has also been very successful because ultimately, when if you look in economic survey this year, it said that we have to free the mind also from the tension, also from the industries, etc. And at times, certain provisions of taxation creates a regulatory pressure of compliance on the entrepreneurs, and they feel it difficult to cope with that pressure. So for simplification of their operations, simplification of small businesses, etc., compliance have to be made easy. And it is also important that regulations have to be simplified, and therefore government has set up in this budget, announced that we will set up a transformative reform committee, which will look into the overall regulatory reforms in the regulatory aspects. And the government will move from move towards trusting the people, those who comply with the provisions, and those who are legally compliant people. And the focus will be that everybody is innocent unless proved guilty, and therefore decriminalization of so many laws has been announced. Then also about several simplification in the form of new tax bills and other redundant repeal of other redundant compliances, etc. Their decriminalization. It is almost at present 1,500 laws have been repealed. Now 100 more laws are being decriminalized. Even company law has been quite a lot in bits and pieces decriminalized. This will ease the regulatory and compliance pressure on the entrepreneurs, and it will free their mind for creative activity.
To ensure the welfare of the poorest and to with the sector of health in mind, the finance minister has announced the establishment of cancer centers in all districts within 3 years. What are your thoughts on this initiative?
Cancer is a big challenge for the country. We are seeing the growth of cancer, and therefore, when the Prime Minister, the FM talks about this cancer rehabilitation centers, that's very important. In health, as I said, ki education and health are two important aspects of quality of human life and citizens, and therefore focus is here. And even on the health sector, about 36 drugs, life-saving drugs, have been made duty-free, and almost 12 uh, these other drugs which are very important for the care of the human being, they have their taxation has been reduced to 5%. So cancer will be tackled in a mission mode. We have seen how government focused during the COVID to protect the health of the citizens through vaccinations and uh, other programs on of healthcare. Even government has also announced that all the secondary healthcare centers will be provided internet connectivity, broadband connectivity. Primary health centers are being included into the broadband internet connectivity, and about 100 aspirational districts which can focus on a rural development and agriculture sector growth. The government plans to identify them and focus their development activity in this area. So providing broadband to the health centers, say, formation of this cancer care centers, reducing the duty to 5% on healthcare, health life-saving drugs, and even zero duty on several medicines which are uh, important for life-saving, are initiatives in the health care sector. Promoting health tourism is also a focus area that in announced, because India has good potential of professionally qualified doctors, and it can provide cheap healthcare to global population. And we are seeing a lot of influx of global population coming to India for various surgeries and other healthcare issues. So this is area where our government is also focusing.
To talk a little about the farmers, how do you perceive the PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana aimed at developing about 100 agriculture districts with low productivity, moderate crop intensity, and below average credit parameters?
Agriculture is one of the most important area, and Dhan scheme, Pradhan Mantri Dhan Dhanya scheme is about focusing on. We have seen the success of aspirational district growth in the welfare of the people, because earlier government identified almost 115 aspirational district which were found to be that they were developed, not that developed, they were backward district, where government and lot of poor population is living there. Government made the collector responsible for those districts to see that all 7 important government welfare scheme goes to everyone who is eligible for the benefit of that scheme. That was a very successful scheme, and therefore it led to 100% saturation of government welfare scheme to the common man, to the last person. Similarly, in this Dhan Dhanya, Yojana, Krishi Yojana, the PFM has announced that we will identify 100 districts which are agriculturally poor, but they have sufficient potential to grow there through focusing on the seed quality, provision of urea, provision of technology, irrigation facility. The farmers' income can be increased. The target is that to increase the farmers' income. Food, there is a good big support on the food processing industry by the government. So in this 100 district areas, which have been identified for agriculture growth, they are the areas which are agriculturally backward and low income areas. So government focus on provision of seed, irrigation facility, technology, and support through cooperatives and FPOs for food processing industries, etc. Will surely see a big rise in income of this area. So it's a very important, and almost 57% of our population is dependent on rural agriculture areas. And therefore, if that population grows and participate more in the economy, surely our economy will move at a very fast pace.
To support farmers, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has also increased the Kisan credit card loan limit from 3 lakh to 5 lakhs. But given that 7.75 crore Kisan credit card account have a total outstanding loan of 9.81 lakh crore as of March 2024, how will this help farmers amidst rising cost and demands for minimum support price?
So we are regularly announcing MSP, minimum support price, in various products, because MSP is something which depends upon the seasonal fluctuations. Suppose what is the cost in the market, they all have to be considered. What is the cost of production? What is the situation of rainfall and other things, urea, other cost, input cost, etc. So depending on this, every year, in every season, whether Rabi season or Kharif season, government announces different MSP for different products. So we are already doing supporting farmers on the MSP field. The government announces that MSP price for particularly whether wheat, rice, and other items, and then it is the responsibility of the state government to procure on that prices. So I don't think this this anything there is gap between the government is not announcing MSP. We are very much caring about the farmers' position, their income levels, their other hardships, etc. And therefore, interest subversion is given. Cooperative sectors, there are multiple reforms. Then farmer producer organizations have also been receiving several subsidies from almost 40 lakh rupees subsidies given to farmer producer organization. So FPO, cooperative sector, then now aspirational 100 district for agriculture growth, MSP support, urea prices, or 3 more units of urea producing units in Northeast have been restarted. So government is looking on every aspect of agriculture growth, and we understand that farmers are the core of India's population.
Bihar has also received significant allocations in the Union Budget 2025, including the Makhana Board and Greenfield airports. How do you view these announcements and developments for the pole-bound state?
No, it is not that if the FM has announced about Bihar that other Andhra Pradesh or XYZ country, Uttar Pradesh state is not getting. Every provision which has been announced in this budget is allocated to every state. No state is exempt from the benefit received from the center. It is certain schemes that particularly affects Bihar. They have found mention in the FM speech, but other states also get their dues through taxation, devolution, or benefits on various schemes, depend whether it is Manrega, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Har Ghar Jal Mission. All these schemes are for every state's benefit, and it is getting them. Particularly about Makhana is a very, like earlier, bamboo growers were there, and then Shri Anna scheme was announced. So this is where government has found that there is a good potential of growth, and it is for the common man, and it can add on to the income of the farmers from agriculture sector. Therefore, this special Makhana board has been announced, but all the states get the benefit. And in this scheme, in this budget, government has also announced about this index for people to various states to on their attracting investment, and index is being created. So cooperative federalism is also an important aspect. So states have to compete among themselves for performing in a better way. Those states which are poor, they get additional support, but then they have to perform on the various parameters that the government decides.
Thank you so much for